Now, obviously, Nintendo is constantly making games, otherwise their consoles will lose popularity because there's nothing new. However, in this quest, they often come up with some of the weirdest ideas ever, concepts that are just bizarre. And a lot of those games were actually released. I mean, when I saw Mario and Sonic at the Olympics as a kid, I was confused to say the least. But a lot of those titles also never saw the light of day. And today we will take a look at some of the weirdest ones. And believe me, some of these are absolutely insane, while others would have been a bit goofy, but also pretty cool. So let's jump right in. But first, introducing my new store, Wily.gg, the place to buy your new games and get your hands on eShop cards for Nintendo as well as Xbox. And don't forget, use code Wily at checkout to save 10%. Now let's continue. Number 5. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Rayman series. Especially the third title is an absolute gem in my opinion. Well, except for the final boss, because that one is just annoying. However, sadly enough, that franchise was taken over by the Rabbids, who are also seen in the Mario universe now due to crossover titles like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. But apparently, Ubisoft wanted to make a game like this a lot earlier, but the idea was shut down by Nintendo into the Mario franchise and its own Rabbids franchise, and it was conceptualized as a subversive, self-aware take on the Mario franchise, and concept art was produced depicting Rabbids kidnapping Bowser as Mario chased them. Now, according to an anonymous Ubisoft employee, the pitch was possibly rejected by Nintendo before it was even formally shown. So clearly, they didn't want anything to do with this, and shut it all down incredibly fast, even though a console like the Wii or DS would have been great for it. And surprisingly enough, Ubisoft employee, this guy, who made Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, said that this attempt was unrelated to that game. So personally, I have no idea why they changed their mind. Maybe they did because during the Wii U era, they were running into trouble with other developers. Because most didn't want to work with Nintendo, which hurt the company a lot. And during the Switch era, they put a lot of effort into improving relationships. But who knows really? Number 4. Now, aside from Mario Kart, another successful spin-off title that Nintendo created was the Maker series. Games where you make your own 2D Super Mario levels and even entire worlds, which people were dreaming of years before it was released. However, funny enough, Nintendo was already flirting with the idea a long time ago during the SNES era, because in 1994 a Nintendo patent was created for a device that could create basic games for the SNES, and it was likely intended for use in schools. Now, the program for creating said games was titled Mario's Factory, and featured loose adaptations of Mario characters. Now, the machine or hardware that went with it was released in Japan in the end, but we don't really know what they did with the game itself. In general, this game reminds me a bit of Super Mario Maker in a way. It's all about the Mario crew making simple games inspired by 2D Mario titles like Super Mario World. Now, we don't know if they wanted to release this to the public, or if it was just for teaching people about game design and inspiring a new generation. But it does show that Nintendo was already thinking about creating a game all about making your own game. And they even wanted to add a game maker to the Mario Artist series for the cancelled Nintendo 64 DD. And luckily enough, they made a game like this years later when we finally got Super Mario Maker. Number 3. Now, we all like Mario Kart. You love it, I love it, everyone loves it. And Elon Musk also came to this conclusion a while ago. And so he tried to do something that would have been amazing to see. He proposed the idea of a Mario Kart game that would be played on Tesla vehicles to Nintendo. You know, a version where you could use the actual car as a controller with the brakes, gas pedal, and steering wheel. And yes, obviously, this would only work when the car is not driving, so you would be part parked on the street, for example. Now, in the end, he told people on Twitter that Nintendo didn't want to grant him a license or anything like that, and so it sadly enough didn't happen. However, some people did find a way to make the dream true, because there is a video out there that shows a man playing a Mario Kart clone known as Beach Buggy Racing 2 in a Tesla, and he uses the steering wheel as the main controller. And all of this is possible because a feature was released that allowed Tesla users to play any PC game via an app called Rainway. So you can do some cool stuff with a Tesla nowadays. But sadly enough, you can't play Mario Kart on it. Now, I bet that if they would have brought a version of Mario Kart to a Tesla, then it would be the arcade version. These are usually known as Mario Kart Arcade GP. And personally, I've tried it as well. And there's even a video on YouTube of me and Lockstin giving it a shot. So you can check that video out if you want. It's a bit old though, but it was a lot of fun. Number 2. Now, all of us know that Nintendo loves to make one type of game: sports games. The one Super Mario spin-off they make the most. And one weird game that got cancelled was Super Mario Spikers, a volleyball wrestling hybrid game that was developed by Next Level Games, which is the same studio that created Super Mario Strikers for the Nintendo GameCube and Mario Strikers Charged for the Wii. They started working on it in 2006, while Mario Strikers Charged was still in development. Now, it started development as a simple volleyball-based game, but in the end the team decided to add mechanics based upon wrestling. They tried to combine their knowledge from their previous Mario Soccer games with their experience with wrestling gained from the cancelled WWE Titans Parts Unknown game. But sadly enough, Nintendo rejected it due to the game's realistic wrestling moves going against the Mario franchise standard of wholesome content. And so it was cancelled, even though the idea was very original and could have made for a great game just like Strikers did. Sure, it was a bit extreme with the violence and all, but I bet a lot of Nintendo fans would have loved it. And if you want to know more about it, then be sure to check out the video I made on it. But first, our last pick. Number 1. Now we have come to the last one, a game that we never got that might have been cool, but it would have given you one gigantic headache: Mario Land for the Virtual Boy, which is most likely the worst console Nintendo has ever made, and I tried it, so I know. Now, this game was a cancelled Mario game that was originally going to be released for this weird VR console that wasn't really VR. Now, a single playable demo was seen at a convention known as the Winter Consumer Electronics Show in 1995 in Las Vegas. Now, just like all the other games around that time, this was a 2D side-scrolling title, but it would have also featured three-dimensional perspectives, such as moving between the background and foreground of the level, which is something we have seen in games like New Super Mario Bros. And Yoshi's Crafted World. And personally, I love that concept, and I'm glad Nintendo uses it. Now, this game would star Mario as the main character, and you would see the normal Super Mario Bros. Style enemies, traps, and more. Now, the story was never revealed, but a large Wario-like figure, which functioned similarly to a thwomp, was seen in the playable demo. So I bet he would have returned after losing in 6 golden coins and fleeing the castle. Now, as expected, Nintendo scrapped the game and turned the Mario Bros-like minigame that was seen in the game into the full title, which was a bit weird. Now, personally, I understand why they got rid of it, because my gosh, the console was terrible and didn't do well because of it. But I will say some of the ideas behind this game were pretty great, so it does make me a bit sad, to be honest. However, if you want to know more, be sure to check out my full video on this game. Yeah, I covered this one as well. Or the one I made on Super Mario Spikers. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check out either of the 2 videos that I also mentioned in this video, because I go in way more depth about the consoles, the companies, the plans, everything. There are so many more details that I just don't have the time for in this video. So be sure to check them out. Yeah, I hope you have a good day and everything, and a good weekend, little brave boys. Currently, it's snowing in the Netherlands, but it's also melting really fast, because, I mean, I don't live in Norway or some shit. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell button, do all that good stuff. Leave any suggestions down below, because I do read the comments, so I know what you're up to. And I know some of you listen to this, like, rambling that I do after the video's done, which I find very hilarious. Good folk. I find it very funny. You make me laugh.